smell like they've just been glued together. Right, so these have just turned up. Haven't run in them yet, and I'm aware there's already videos on YouTube that may be more useful because they're people that have actually run in them. However, yeah, they're worthy of a bit of analysis, so I thought I'd compare them to their little brother, G270, and hey, let's go back in time a bit, G260 as well. So thanks to Lee at Inov-8 for sending me these for review. He didn't send me the hat, that's all my own work. So they are the Inov-8 TrailFly G300 Ultra Max. No, they're not. They're the TrailFly Ultra G300 Max. That's no more complicated than Apple's iPhone naming convention. Don't know why I can't remember that. So yeah, here it is. So what is it? It's clearly an Ultra shoe, but how does it compare to the Terra Ultra shoe? I suppose the first big difference is drop. Now I think when this shoe came out, a lot of people were surprised that it was 0 drop. The previous G260 also. I think this opens up a bigger market for them. I think more people would prefer a little bit of drop, but there's also way more stack, and there's some other things to talk about. So let's get into the details. So starting with the upper and working my way down, the mesh feels really very similar to the G270s. The toe bumper is similar construction, same sort of overlays, but it is a little bit, yeah, it's definitely noticeably tougher with the finger squish test. Yeah, for sure. So more protection there. The eyelet chain is essentially the same. The tongue feels the same. It's that thin, but still comfortable gusseted tongue, so it's gusseted quite high up. Stop it moving around too much. The addition is this little slot here for the laces to go through on the new shoes. So the fit is described by Inov-8 as number 5 from 1 to 5, so it is their widest fit. If anything, I think they feel slightly wider than the older shoes. They're both true to size. I think if anything, they may be a couple of mil longer, but it's really close. Just looking at how the two shoes lace up, I think there's a tiny bit more volume in the TrailFly. Tiny bit. If you were a fan of the boomerang footbed in the G270, good news, it's back. It's actually, I think this is the TPU bead, like a chewed up old Adidas Boost glued into the footbed. Really nice feel to them if you haven't run in them. It's unusual to get excited by an insole, but they do have a comfortable, and genuinely they add a bit of bounce, I think, to the whole design of the shoe. I think the new ones are slightly thicker, and these are 36 grams. These are coming in at 41, so it could be that they have actually beefed up the boomerang a little bit. Oh yeah, and just lining these two up from the older shoe to the new cleaner shoe, they are identical, which sort of lends credence to the idea that the fit is essentially the same between the two shoes. So the big innovation back in the day with the G260 was the graphene enhanced outsole. These have done about 300k, I think, something like that, and they are holding up really well. My G270, a bit less mileage, and they look essentially brand new. And sure enough, can you see that? Yeah, there's very little wear. Actually, most of the lugs have still got the pattern on. You know, they print this pattern on that's like the first half mil or something. And apart from just where I drag my heel, that is holding up really, really well. So of course, the TrailFly have graphene enhanced outer rubber. Now, people haven't talked too much about grip yet. I guess on paper they're similar, that sort of 3.5, 4 mil sort of lug depth. There is more aggressive cuts through the outsole. It's all black, so you can't see, unlike the green on the G270. But these channels that have been cut in line with your metatarsals are deeper. So there's that effective negative lug thing going on. There's quite a lot of area to catch terrain. Altogether, the grip looks more aggressive, and there's also a much wider platform. So I think these are going to be super grippy. I'm sort of surprised they've gone in that direction for more grip, but I'm not complaining about more grip, I don't think, unless it's added loads of weight. We'll come on to weight. So the previous shoes had these Meta Flex design features to increase flex this way. The new shoes do not, which may lend to a more sort of responsive toe off, possibly. So Midsole, they went from the exterior flow in the G260, which was just a bit meh, to the Powerflow Max in the G270, which was like a massive step forward for me. Bouncier, much more lively, really nice foam. I guess they could have just used this again and added some drop and a bit more stack, if that's the way the brief was for the design, but they didn't want to do that. And what they're saying is the biggest innovation of all is that they've introduced, there's my dog, graphene into the foam, into the midsole. That's Ginge. So they've called the foam G300, and the way it was described in the press briefing yesterday was more about longevity. So it still is a responsive, modern feeling midsole foam, but what they're saying is that this will go for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of miles and never flatten out, never change. My thoughts on the Powerflow Max are kind of similar, that it really holds up well, whereas that older exterior flow did sort of deaden a bit after a while. But we'll have to see how these perform. I mean, if Damien Hall can run 268 miles in these, and these are designed to go further, that's interesting, isn't it? Yeah, and that stack has gone from 12mm to 12mm on the G270, 0mm differential, to 19mm, 25mm, a 6mm drop. Cool, I think. Just going back to that outer platform comparison again. Look at my nose. Yeah, it's a few mil wider, but in the heel, it's probably 10-12mm wider. Obviously that will counteract any instability issues that would be caused by increasing the stack. I think the final design feature that needs talking about, that's a sort of patentable design, is this adaptive flex groove, which is possibly in an unusual position, just slightly back of the midfoot. But actually when you see this explained in the presentation, it totally made sense. With the thicker stack, they had to work a bit harder, whereas these older shoes, they just sort of flex and do all that because there's not much stack. But they had to work a bit harder to get these to have the characteristics that they wanted. And in terms of this adaptive flex, it was all about the decoupling, I guess, from the front to the rear. And they showed how your heel is not affected when your forefoot plants down on a rock. So essentially this portion stays put while the front of the foot shoe can twist, which with such a thick stacked shoe you don't normally get. If you think of something like a thicker Hoka, you put your foot on a rock on one side and that energy does transfer through your ankle, and maybe that causes a little issue with a knee or something like that. So there's a potentially really interesting feature there, and that is something that I'm really looking forward to try out, but also see if Inov-8 iterate on that, but also put into other models. This is the biggest stack shoe they've ever made, so it's all a bit new for Inov-8, really. Finally, weight. The G260 in my UK size 11 were 230-ish grams, I think. The G270, which should have been a little bit heavier, were not. These are 310 grams. I keep checking this. They're all clean and dry. 310 grams in my UK size 11. And the new shoe, 387. So it's not super light. A lot of that weight, it actually doesn't feel so heavy in the hand, but a lot of that weight may not be an issue if it has that lively kind of feel. So interestingly, I think this other sort of similar super shoe, ultra long distance shoe, 344. So this slightly lighter, has carbon plate in it, but much less grip. And I think a lot of the weight of this shoe is all down in this section, and especially the outer. They haven't skimped on rubber for the outer. They could have made the shoe a lot lighter and less grippy. Can't wait to try it. Oh yeah, and slight rocker. You know, if that's a rocker, I think that's a rocker. It rocks. Oh yeah, and they're £170, which is a lot of money, but you know, these are 180, and it's £25 more than the Terra Ultra G270. They're 145, so yeah, could be worth it. We will see. One thing that's better with the Inov-8 than the North Face is the heel lock. You can tell that straight away. The fit around the way the midfoot cinches up and the fit around the heel is really impressive, and also the width of the platform under the heel. This was quite narrow. I think it's going to be a lot more stability, even though there is a lot of stack. Oh, the stack also, your foot's kind of in it. Some people might say kind of Hoka style. So what looks super massive, I guess your foot's down into that slightly. So it's not quite as you might expect. So your foot is actually sort of cradled slightly by a little bit of midsole running around the shoe. Yeah, anyway, enough waffle. Cool. See you here. Yeah, on the foot you can definitely feel that 6mm drop, but that's obviously not unusual or excessive. I guess it's just if you're used to the zero drop platform. The other thing I can feel is the arch area slightly. It's not like support, but I can just feel it. I wonder whether it's because that's where it coincides with that Adaptaflex groove. So yeah, it's not that it's pushing up, but I'm aware of it. Let's go for a run.
And I shared this.
Thanks.